Greetings to all participants. Welcome to MENEFESTO 2021 Agents of 2030. I am Filia Maria and my colleague,
Nanda Naomi,
on behalf of Parahyangan Catholic University, are very pleased to welcome all of you and to be the master of ceremony for today. Before we start today's second webinar of Embrace Humanity, Eliminate Poverty, let us sing our national anthem in Indonesia Raya and the hymn of Parahyangan Catholic University. All participants are expected to behave accordingly.
Welcome to Parahyangan Catholic University, where knowledge and experience are sought and great ideas are highly valued. This is the place where traditions are nurtured and history is made. Located in the mountains of North Bandung, UNPAR strives for advancement and innovation in 16 fields of study, namely economics, management, accounting, law, public administration, business administration, international relations, civil engineering, architecture, philosophy, industrial engineering, chemical engineering, electrical engineering in mechatronics, mathematics, physics, informatics. UNPAR provides an accommodative learning environment that creates outstanding graduates who are responsive to current opportunities and challenges. This is the campus where all dreams are inspired and passions are pursued. Through a continuous desire for excellence, achievements after achievements are made possible. UNPAR is a place where diversity is respected and community is built. Divinity, truth, and integrity have become the foundations of our academic culture. With various extracurricular and campus activities, UNPAR has been able to provide a comprehensive education while building the essential virtues of thriving in the present and preparing for the future. With decades of experience and solid foundations, from generation to generation, UNPAR has been recognized at national, regional, and international levels. We proudly acknowledge our professors for their expertise and our staff for their dedication to service. We heartily embrace the trends in digital transformations by adapting to current and future needs and challenges in the context of education. UNPAR believes in developing local potential on the international level. Thus, internationalization is an essential part of our commitment to provide our students and staffs with the needed exposure. This commitment is supported by high-quality facilities and infrastructure throughout the campus. Our efforts towards the future are guided by the spirit of Bakuni Yangri Guna Sunchaya Bhakti, understood as based on the belief in God, the advancement of knowledge and devotion to the community. Compassion and humanity have become the center of our academic endeavors, which are ultimately dedicated to society. Welcome to Parahyangan Catholic University, the answer to the future. We begin here and now.
What a wonderful video of company profile of UNPAR, isn't it, Filia?
It is.
Do you feel proud about it when you're being a student in UNPAR now, after
Of
seeing the
course.
video?
Of course, it's a very good video. It is also well produced, and it really gives me like a picture of what UNPAR can be.
Oh, since we cannot come to the campus at first, right?
Right, that's right.
Is this the same for me? Like, I'm so excited to come to the campus one day after the pandemic is over.
Let's just hope the pandemic is over in a short
That's
time.
all
Right,
what we hope for, isn't it?
right. It is
Okay.
very. I really can't wait to like meet all of my friends.
Yeah, now since we are meeting all our friends like in this webinar, like in Zoom meetings, right? Okay, now before we moved on, we would like to express our gratitude towards Mr. Mangadar Situmorang, Mrs. Ratnawati Muyanto, and Mrs. Valencia Melvinci, and also Mr. Sandiaga Uno as our speakers, and all the respectable audiences of today's webinar. We would also like to invite Mr. Mangadar Situmorang to present an opening speech. To Mr. Mangadar Situmorang, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Nanda. Thank you, Putri, Filia, Princess. Thank you very much for giving me time. Well, very happy to see you all and to welcome all speakers and all participants to this prestigious webinar organized by the study program of management with the title of Manifesto 2021, the Agent of 2030. Selamat siang, Pak Menteri. Hopefully you already joined us. And we thank you very much for sparing your time. Yeah, we know that you are very busy. Yeah, hectic with this very tough schedule. But of course, it is a great privilege if you can join us and present your ideas, your spirit, and also to share with us encourage, of course. Pak Menteri, Pak Sandi, thank you very much. And also would like to extend our gratitude and big thank you to Ibu Ratnawati Mulyanto, yeah, the special policy specialist at UNICEF. Thank you also for coming, for sharing with your all experience and expertise, knowledge, yeah, about the topics that we are going to discuss for today. Special hello to Valencia Melvinsky. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, as the anchor of Metro TV. Yeah, we know also that you are very busy, but you already allocate your time with us, students from UNPARS and also from other universities, especially San Beda University in Manila, the Philippines. Pak Menteri, para pembicara yang kami hormati, sekali lagi, we are very grateful to have you all and to hear your presentation about the topics towards 2030 Sustainable Development Goals Learning Center. With the specific or most specific one is in terms of eradicating poverty. So it is very relevant with our condition right now. This webinar is organized, as I mentioned before, by the management study program under the Faculty of Economic UNPAR. And it was initiated by the Students Association through the program of MENEFESTO. Yeah. This program is organized and conducted every year with different forms. And this year, it is specially made international. So we invite our partner from different universities in other countries through the one we have, ASEAN Learning Network, ILN, that consists of number of universities from the Philippines, Malaysia, Vietnam, and Indonesia, and other countries. And we do see the benefit and also the important things of, let's say, presentation Pak Menteri dan juga Ibu Retno dan juga Ibu Valencia, ya, untuk beberapa poin penting dalam kaitannya dengan alleviation atau eradication kemiskinan. Dan ini menjadi sangat penting, tema yang sangat penting juga, di mana Pak Menteri, selamat siang Pak Menteri, sekali lagi thank you very much ya for joining us. It is a great honor for us, big privilege for us at UNPAR. You make your time to come again. Terima kasih banyak. We know you are very busy, tetapi thank you again for giving us encouragement, and also support in our endeavor in running, let's say, higher education institution. This is always a big challenge. Terima kasih, Pak Sandi. Yeah, this is always a big challenge for us to make the university more relevant and being part of the answer, the solution to the problem we are dealing with in our local and also national and even global society. So make UNPAR relevant and significant is the theme that we are going to do in recent years. Dan karena itu kami sangat berterima kasih untuk Pak Menteri berkenan hadir bersama kami. Dan sekali lagi Ibu Retno, Ibu Valen, thank you very much. Ya, tanpa berpanjang lebar lagi, saya menghaturkan atas nama Universitas Katolik Parahyangan, terima kasih banyak. Ya, terima kasih kepada Pak Menteri, Pak Sandi yang sudah hadir, Ibu ya Ratnawati, ya Mulyanto, dan juga Ibu Valen. Thank you very much ya for being with us. Semoga Bapak Ibu sehat selalu ya. Masih panjang banyak tugas ya Pak Menteri. We know that ya. But it is our prayer that you are still, let's say, in a very good condition ya to run your responsibility, your duties to make our society, our nation much better in near future. Valencia, thank you very much. Ibu Ratna, thank you very much. Thank you. It is great to have you all. Thank you. Back to you, Nanda and Filia.
Thank you, Mr. Magadar, for the outstanding opening speech, and welcome, Mr. Sandiaga Uno, Mrs. Ratnawati, and Mrs. Valencia. Thank you for coming today. It is a pleasure for me and my partner to be here today with you and with all the participants. And now, without further ado, we are going to move to the next event, but there are some regulations that need to be obeyed in order to make this webinar run smoothly. Number one, participants are expected to use the name format institution_full name. For example, UNPAR_Michael Smith. Number two, participants are expected to mute the microphone during the webinar until further instruction or information from the committee or the MC. Number three, participants are expected to maintain a conducive situation during the webinar. Number four, participants are prohibited from showing or consuming drugs, alcohol, and inappropriate action. Host will remove those who cause disturbance. Number five, participants are able to ask questions during the question and answer sessions through the chat feature. Participants who wants to ask questions must type in the chat column with the following format: full name dash question. For example, Michael dash what is meant by blah, blah, blah. Number six, you can ask directly after being invited by the MC while minding your language. Number seven, to receive the certificate, participants must fill the evaluation form, and the naming errors on the certificate are not the responsibility of the committee.
Thank you very much, Filia, for reading the regulation for us. Now, we will invite our moderator for today, Mrs. Baby Nurtesya Putri. Mrs. Baby Nurtesya Putri is a lecturer from Parahyangan Catholic University. She also is a social media strategy in Bandung Food Smart City. To Mrs. Baby, the screen is yours.
Okay, thank you for our master ceremony today. Now I will handle it. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to introduce myself. I am Baby Nurtesya Putri, the moderator of today's webinar. I am very pleased to see you here and welcome all of you to this webinar. Today's webinar is about embrace humanity, eliminate poverty. On behalf of the organizers, I would like to extend my warm welcome to all the guests, ladies and gentlemen, for giving your honor presents to MENEFESTO 2021, which organized by students of the Faculty Economics, Department Management, Parahyangan Catholic University. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have three speakers that give many insight and share their experience regarding our topics today. Respectable Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy of Indonesia, Mr. Sandiaga Uno. Welcome, Bapak. Next, the Honorable Social Policy Specialist of UNICEF, Mrs. Ratnawati Muyanto. Welcome, Ibu. And the Honorable News Anchor of Media Televisi Indonesia or Metro TV, Mrs. Valencia Melvinci. Welcome, Ibu. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's welcome our speakers today. The first speaker today is Mr. Dr. Haji Sandiaga Uno, BBA, MBA. He is a Minister of Tourism and Creative Economy of Indonesia. He has held Deputy Governor of DKI Jakarta. He has held General Chairperson of the Indonesia Young Entrepreneurs Association. Before the presentation begins, let me inform how the presentation will be going on. Each speaker will have time 20 minutes maximum to share their material. First, Mr. Sandiaga Uno will be invited to present the material. If you have question, you can write the question by writing in a chat box. Now allow me to welcome the speakers, Mr. Dr. Haji Sandiaga Uno, BBA, MBA, to deliver his presentation. Mr. Sandiaga Uno, the time is yours.
Thank you, baby. Also for Philia and Nanda. And I would like also to give a special acknowledgement, in particular to all the faculty members and teachers, as well as students from Universitas Parahyangan who are attending this virtual speaker webinar. Towards 2030 Sustainable Development Goals Learning Center with the theme of Embrace Humanity, Eliminate Poverty, SDGs Growing Company. The Honorable Rector of University of Parahyangan, Bapak Mangadar Situmorang, PhD, Horas, Majua-jua, Enjua-jua, Ahoy, Ahobu. I'd also like to acknowledge the presence of ASEAN Learning Network Executive Director, Professor Tita Evasco Branzuela, PhD, Technical Officer Skill Development ILO Country Indonesia and Timor-Leste, Mr. Taufik Muhammad, Social Policy of UNICEF Indonesia, Ms. Ratnawati Muyanto, Anchor TV, Metro TV, News Anchor, the always appear in the televisions, Ibu Valencia Melvinci, President Director of Indomobil Prima Energy, Mr. Gary Christopher Kerto Wijoyo, and VP of Corporate Affairs, Public Policy, Government Relations of Nestle Indonesia, Gabriel Angrian, and together with my deputy in charge for strategic policies, Burleni Ukar, we'd like to quickly present our materials, which focus on how we could be agents of change to embrace humanity, eliminate poverty. This is a great subject, which actually is very, very pertinent to what we are facing in the midst of pandemic. Tourism and creative economy in Indonesia have seen a very devastating impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. We are seeing international visitors' arrivals drop significantly. Domestic tourists is actually also slashed. Workforce, we lost a lot of jobs, and the contributions to our economy also went down almost by 80%. While the tourism demand and recovery trend remains volatile, uncertain, complex, and quite full of ambiguities. We call it the VUCA era. Volatility, uncertainties, complexities, and ambiguities. We understand that the new tourism economy will focus on hygiene, low touch, less crowd, and low mobility, with a focus of changing demands and increase in direct connectivity, the use of digital marketing, and flexibility of schedule. We are embarking on certifications of health in destinations, and we are using the brand Indonesia Care, and we actually shorten it to I Do Care. Reviving tourism and creative economy industry in Indonesia will take a lot of efforts across platforms and also supports from every single elements of the pentahelix. Human resources capacity buildings, revitalizing the destinations and infrastructures, increase and resilience and business competitiveness, product and service innovations, as well as expanding market while recovering it. We cannot just survive, we need to revive and possibly thrive post-pandemic. We believe that tourism is a strategic sector which promote inclusive growth. For every dollar that you invest in tourism and creative economy, you will get 6 times more jobs. Therefore, jobs leads to income, income leads to prosperity. We believe on a 3P concept, which is planet, people, and prosperity. Pandemic COVID-19 completely melting the sector. However, with the World Tourism Day 2021, we're actually seeing the rise of social tourism, cultural of tourism, political and economic value, and the contributions that tourism can make in achieving the sustainable development goals even expedited, because we have the motto of no one will be left behind. Tourism is for everybody. Reviving tourism is also recovering the economy. No poverty, gender equality, quality and sustainability tourism, decent work and economic growth, and reduce inequalities. There are 5 P's for SDG for tourism. I mentioned people, prosperity, and planet, but also we promote peace and partnership. We believe sustainable source of welfare on the 3 targets. First is the contributions to the economy. Tourism contributes around 4 to 5% of our economy, contributing to about 14 million jobs. Creative economy contributed 7 to 8% to our GDP, while producing 20 million jobs. This, we believe, is a potent combinations, tourism and creative economy, for sustainable prosperity. Sustainable tourism development in Indonesia have grown very rapidly. STDs, or we call it STDEF, consists of sustainable tourism destination, sustainable tourism industry, STI, STM, sustainable tourism management and marketing, sustainable tourism certifications, and STO, sustainable tourism observatories. And these are based on regulations that we are planning, strategic roadmap to focus on quality and sustainable tourism. No longer we focus on sun, sea, and sand, but we focus on serenity, sustainability, and spirituality. Quality over quantity, access, connectivity, less crowd, cleanliness, health, safety, and environmental sustainability. Destinations, reputations, digital ecosystem, quality of human capital, jobs, jobs, and jobs, governance, and creative innovations within the platform of communications and promotions. We are accelerating our quality tourism standard in terms of from safety, security, all the way to harmony. We're integrating applications of Peduli Lindungi into all destinations management. We're also pushing programs such as digital program on the culinary, entrepreneurship, also training, as well as finance, and we have a program for startups. We are also refocusing our efforts on tourism village, because this is a low-hanging fruits. We have so many tourism village available to be empowered, and this is a good program from curations all the way to nominations. We promote our tourism village that makes it to the world-class standard. Just recently, Desa Wisata Ngelanggeran in Yogyakarta won the best tourism village in the world, announced by UNWTO. At the same award, it has been announced also that Indonesia will host the World Tourism Day in 2022. So this is in conjunction with G20. The role of millennial generations, people like Nadia, people like all these participants within this webinar, I am promoting that millennial takes a center stage through innovations, taking risks, and being proactive. You guys are agents of change. You should not be just watch, but you have to be in the game. To prosper and to progress, you have to take risks. Therefore, we are initiating the work platform for the Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy for 2022 based on innovations, adaptations, and collaborations. We call it 3G, gercep, gerak cepat, or move fast. G, geber, the second G, move together, gerak bersama. And 3, gaspol, basically work on all online opportunities to increase employment. We are focusing on the programs that on budget, on target, on time, and right on benefit. So I'd like to close this presentations, Pak Rector, with a video to show how people are longing to see our natural wonders, the wonderland of Indonesia. Please play the video. There should be some music. Our tradition is waiting. Our peace is waiting. I'll take over as an announcer. Our smile is waiting. Our flavor is waiting. Our adventure is waiting. Our heart is waiting. Thank you so much. And may God bless all of you. Unpar, we believe that we could win together. Thank you very much. Upami aya karek kirangan nyuhunkeun dihapunten. Hatur nuhun pisan. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Tuhan memberkati. Shalom.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sandiaga Uno, for your informative and interesting presentation. That's really motivational. Also about gercep, geber, and then gaspol. Thank you, Mr. Sandiaga Uno. Next, we will going to the second speaker. The second speaker today is Mrs. Valencia Melvinci. She is a news anchor of Media Televisi Indonesia, or Metro TV, and experienced in covering humanity and social issue stories. Before the presentation begins, I will remind you, let me inform how the presentation will be going on. Each speaker will have time, 20 minutes maximum, to share their material. First, Ms. Valencia Melvinci will be invited to present the material. So if you have question, you can write the question by writing in the chat box. Now allow me to welcome the speaker, Mrs. Valencia Melvinci, to deliver her presentation. For Mrs. Valencia Melvinci, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you, baby. And then thank you to you guys for having me as the second speaker for this webinar today. And I would like to say my special greetings and also acknowledgement for the Minister of Tourism and Creative Economy of Indonesia, Bang Sandi, and also for the Social Policy Specialist of UNICEF, Ibu Ratnawati Muyanto, and then my lecturer, Pak Mangadar Situmorang, and also Pak Fernando Mulia, my lecturer, also my mentor, and the others lecturers and also students here who already joined us in this webinar about how to eliminate poverty, embrace humanity in this manifesto 2021. And then I also have my PPT, my slide. I already gave it to, okay, thank you. This is, I made it by myself, and then the title is Prepare Yourself for 2030, because this is the target that's set in the SDGs. And I'm going to invite you guys to see through the other lenses. We already know about SDGs, we already know about poverty, we talk about it every day. We see poverty in Indonesia, in the world, we see the poverty, and we know exactly what is humanity. And then I'm going to ask you guys to try to be more conscious, to change the perspective with the complex understanding about what is poverty is, what is the real poverty, and what we can do with humanity inside our mind and then our heart, and then how we implement it. I would like to tell you a bit about this photo. I took this picture, somebody took this picture of me and the children in West Nusa Tenggara. A few months before COVID pandemic hits us, and then these children in this photo, they live in the quite poor village. They don't have a proper education. They just playing all day long. And then when I join them, when they have lunch together, you guys know what did they eat? They just eat like rice and then the salted fish, and then that's it. That's all what they eat every day. A bit choice of vegetables, maybe kangkung, bayam, spinach. We don't know how long they eat like that, but it happened. Okay, for the next slide, let's see.
I saw slums like this from a distance, but I never felt I could comfortably go in and walk around the way I have today. And this is a very, very special experience. My name is Marvin Rogers. I have a PhD in political science, but I'm really interested in cultural anthropology and development. And I taught in the United States for about 40 years. And most of that time I taught about underdeveloped countries, especially in Southeast Asia. But I have been in parts of Africa and parts of the Middle East and parts of Latin America. I have been interested in Indonesia for at least 60 years. I think this last 2 hours has been the most interesting experience I've ever had in Indonesia. This challenges the heart as well as the mind. Everybody who's getting a university degree in this country should spend a week in a place like this.
Right.
And trying to write at least 1,000 words. What is the problem and what could be done about it? And what am I going to do with my life?
Right.
I would love to bring university students in a small group and have them live here for a week and then spend 3 weeks trying to understand how people survive and what could be done to enable these children to get enough education that they can leave this way of life as they get older.
Okay. This is a video, a short video of a film, actually, of Ulf Kruger. He is a journalist and he is telling about the poverty in Jakarta. Jakarta is the real case. I write this, the understanding of poverty, Jakarta for the real case. Why I choose Jakarta? Because I want to tell that poverty is real. Even this is the closest one. Jakarta, this is a capital city of Indonesia. This is a big city. And then most of people say that Jakarta, the city that never sleeps. But actually, when we look about the tall buildings in the center of Jakarta, you also can see the other parts of Jakarta that show the real poverty is. When you saw this short film, you're gonna understand Marvin is the professor of political and social science, who is saying and then telling to us about his experience. And then it's very challenging, not only for him, but it's for all of us. And it has a clear message which will make us understand how cruel the poverty is. And then I want to quote some words from Yuval Noah Harari. He is a historian. In our human history, Yuval said in his book Sapiens, Homo sapiens, and then Homo Deus, and then also 21 lessons for the 21st century, if you guys already read about it. He said that Homo sapiens rules the world because it is the only animal that can believe in things that exist purely in its own imagination, such as gods, states, money, and human rights. He mentioned money. It relates to how we handle the poverty, and human rights. It stands for humanity within our heart, of course. And for me, my task here today is to tell to you guys to raise the awareness about how we need to understand the poverty is, how could we define what is poverty, and what can we do as the small part of the agent of change to make something for your society, for the society. And then I am a journalist. It has been 3 years, and I find my passion as a journalist. I put on my mind and my heart that this job is truly the life-changing process. Why I will be here today to speak to you, because I think a journalist is the one who witnessed how the inequality exists in this life, and it's for real. And the next slide, we're gonna see Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela said that overcoming poverty is not a gesture of charity. It's not about charity. It is an act of justice. It is the protection of a fundamental human right, the right to dignity and decent life. Actually, the sentence is incomplete. While poverty exists, this is no true freedom. Nelson Mandela said that. And then your job is to find out first what is poverty. And then after that, you're going to find a solution, and then the concrete one, and then you can implement it to your closest society. And I'm talking about decent life. Person living in poverty experience many interrelated and mutually reinforcing deprivation. We can measure poverty in so many ways. When you want to decide someone is categorized as a low or middle income, or they are one of the poor, you need to understand how to think just like them. When you think just like them, you're gonna find some solution that maybe quite be meaningful for them. When we define a poverty just someone who cannot afford a proper food, or who cannot stay in a quite decent house, maybe it's not like that. Once I went to a village in Sukabumi in West Java. There was a disaster there, a landslide, and then there are so many victims. And when I stay there to cover the story, I saw so many people living in poor, extremely poor. Every day they just eat Indomie, and then just nasi dan telur, rice, and then sunny side up eggs. And then there are so many pregnant women live without sanitary. And then we can say that it's one kind of poverty in Indonesia. However, when I asked to them, are you okay to live in this kind of situation? A woman said that, I'm okay. We can afford to buy food 3 times a day. We have just a small house to settle in every day. It's okay for them. But if we see through our lens, we're gonna say they are in poverty. They are below the poverty line. So when we want to give them some solution to get outside of the poverty, you cannot use your own perspective. You need to use their perspective. Put yourself on their shoes. So you're gonna understand more. And then based on United Nations, the to settle in, the indication also it's about a dangerous work conditions, unsafe housing, lack of nutritious food, unequal access to justice, lack of political power, limited access to healthcare and sanitary. So this is like a complex understanding to know what the poverty is. The next slide, we're gonna see this is the facts and figures when COVID-19 hits us really hard. There are some facts and figures we need to understand that these facts and figures impact in so many aspects of our life. Increase people to be pushed in the poverty line. And then the other things, when we look around us, people lost their job and then businesses collapse. There are lots of potential short-term economic impact of this COVID-19 pandemic. Moreover, for the long-term impact, we never know what will happen. Meanwhile, government also try to make some, I don't know, repairment, help, and then so many things have been done until today. But when we see to the picture, this picture, I took this picture like maybe 6 months ago and still in Jakarta. When you see clearly, it stated lawan corona, berdoa dan berusaha, dengan berdoa dan berusaha. And then sebagai manusia wajib berdoa kepada Allah. See, this is one of the example when if we see as us through our lens, we understand that if we want to fight COVID-19, we need to take care of our healthcare. We need to find the medicine. We need to go for the vaccination. It's the scientific reason. But if we saw through their lenses, they will say that if we want to fight COVID, you need to pray first. It's quite a difference. But this has really happened. When we figure out why it's going to be different, then you will find what is the poverty is. You don't have to understand about around Indonesia, around the world, what is poverty is through the SDGs, because in SDGs, the first goal is no poverty from 17 goals there. Just put yourself, your mind through their shoes, and then you're gonna understand more, and then you're going to figure out more. The next slide, we're gonna see that, okay, this is a multidimensional poverty that we face together. There are various deprivation experienced by poor people in their daily lives. Start from poor health and then lack of education, inadequate living standards, poor quality of work, and then hazardous environment. When you see the pictures below, there is a tailor. I don't know what it called, street tailor. He worked every day. I took this photo in East Jakarta when the flood happened there in Kampung Melayu. He kept working while the flood happened because he told me if he stopped working and then no food for today. The income is just like 25,000 until 50,000 rupiah per day. Can you imagine? You just live for a day with only 25,000 rupiah. What would you buy to eat? Where would you stay for your night? We don't know. And then the second one is multi-level approach. Multi-level approach, of course, policy recommendation. It's what the government do. And then social assistance. It's what the organization do, what LSM do. And then community empowerment. Maybe you can take part on this community empowerment. You can say something to people, the true one, the objective one, the right one, and then you're going to have a good impact for them. And the left photo, I took this in Sika, East Nusa Tenggara. There was dengue fever disaster, and then the condition is quite sad. You see this in the background is in the hospital where there are no proper healthcare, I can say like that. And then there are lots of victims die because of the dengue fever. It's all about poverty. It's all about inequality. And this is real. The next slide. Okay. So we bump into the conclusion. What is the most possible contribution? Contribution is the real thing that you need to figure it out. You need to take part as the agent of change. Take part for getting back on track with the sustainable development goals. And many of us are talking about building back together. If you ever read about this term, it's the meaning is we need to put the poor one, we need to put our friend in poverty line, but in the front one, we need to put their own needs, their interests in the front line before you give a policy recommendation or before you do something for real. Put them in the front line. And then, so after this webinar session, you could start over. The first thing first, find the inspiration, define the area that you are interested in. You are the agent of change. And then the second one, you started, just make your design come true. And then be significant and make it real. Don't do too many big design because it's unreal. Just make it real. I would like to tell a bit story about this photo. This photo is my friend. This is in 2016 when I joined social entrepreneurship for economic development in Sinto village in Philippines. And then what did we do is we immerse with the community there in Sinto village, and then we learn and then we understand how they survive the poverty, how real the poverty is. They cannot have a quite possible income to have a decent life, but we understand that people there survive the poverty despite all of the problems that they faces. We propose how for them to get out for the poverty, maybe just a little bit help, but it might be help. They can make something for selling, maybe kimchi from the Chinese cabbage they plant there, and then a carrot cake from the too many carrot they harvested in one term, and then make more money from that. And it might help a family. So we get started from ourselves in your group with the inspiration and motivation you have chosen, no matter what your daily basis be like. You can be a teacher, a citizen journalist. It's not only just a journalist, you can be a citizen journalist, a student. We have the same opportunities and obligation also to take part, to be the agent of change. In advance, we can do it effectively after we understand what is a multidimensional approach in handling the poverty. That's all. Thank you from me. And then back to you, baby.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Valencia Melvinci, for your informative stories and so interesting about many picture there. Okay, Before we will going to next speaker, I will to announce for thank you so much for Mr. Sandiaga Uno. And Mr. Sandiaga Uno has to leave first because he have another activity. Okay, so we will going next speaker. The third speaker today, last but not least, we have Mrs. Ratnawati Muyanto. She is a social policy specialist of UNICEF. Her experience in qualitative and quantitative research in the area of social protection, labor policies, economic governance, and public administration reform. Reminder, before the presentation begins, let me inform how the presentation will be going on. Each speaker will have time 20 minutes maximum to share their material. So first, Mrs. Ratnawati Muyanto will be invited to present the material. If you have question, you can write the question by writing in the chat box. Now, allow me to welcome the speaker today, Mrs. Ratnawati Muyanto, to deliver her presentation. Mrs. Ratnawati Muyanto, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you for the University of Parahyangan Bandung for having me to these celebrations of anniversary of the University Parahyangan. Congratulations for all the achievements, including in the academics area and also in social, non-academics area like in community empowerment and so on. It is my gratitude to be here with you all, including to the Honorable Minister of for the economic for the tourism, Bapak Sandiaga Uno, and also my fellow from previous speaker from the news anchor Metro TV. Yeah, basically. I just, try to introduce the concept, the basic concept of poverty that has been discussed by Pak Sandiaga and the previous speaker that already described how poverty has affected to all populations. And we know that the tourism sector has been mostly affected because tourists has been declining since the pandemic hit, and it creates unprecedented unemployment. And of course, if people are unemployed and they don't receive any income, and easily can be classified into the poor groups. So here I would like to bring the concept of poverty that was defined by World Bank and also United Nations. Poverty line, food poverty line is the minimum expenditure on food. It is equal to 2,100 kilocalorie protein that should be intake by all individual per day. So like previous speaker discussed, that if you can still eat 3 meals a day, but the nutrition intake is less than this 2,100 kilocalories, you are classified as poor. And this is very important because for most Indonesian, when you eat what you thinking is about how to feel fulfilled, right? To merasa kenyang, not really considering how nutritious food that we eat. So this is the basic problems, not even for the poor, but also for the upper middle income class. So when the previous speaker brought up the idea about multidimensional poverty, as you know that the poverty can be measured not only by the income level, but also the access to sanitations. If you have money, but still you need to go for like 5 kilometers to bring the clean water to cook, and also for the bath, it's still considered as a factor that can be to increase the poverty level. Non-food poverty line, there is also another measurements. There are a variety of measures to measurements to estimate poverty. Like non-food poverty line is the minimum value of spending on housing and on education, health, and other food basic needs. Even though you are not poor by the monetary definitions, but you can send out your children to school properly. You cannot give your children like a fee for snack or uang jajan, ya. Sorry, my internet is not stable. Still classified as poor. So many dimensions to be classified as poor. But once you broaden your definitions on poverty itself, and then there will be a lot of people, more people can be defined as poor, right? Because perhaps you can have money to feed your children, but then you don't have sufficient income to send them to the school. You can also be classified as poor. So it's very difficult actually, and there is a lot of effort has been made by international organizations on how defining poverty. Yeah. So basically, this is just to capture what is the real operations of the poverty itself, and what has been discussed previously about the multidimensional poverty. Yeah, Indonesia, of course, since we have measured poverty for such a long time, and then the Statistics Indonesia, who usually produce a poverty rate and also the child poverty rate for the time being. So as you can see in the slides, the poverty Indonesia rate is decreasing over time. But since the pandemic hit in 2 years, almost 2 years ago, the poverty rate tend to decrease again. And this is like setting back all the efforts that has been put by the governments before the pandemic. And then now the poverty is getting increased uh, from 9 to 10% per year. This is not easy. I mean, if you see the number is only 1%, but actually the number of the people behind this is really not. It's not really a small number. It's not small number, right? Like almost 24.5 million people now is become poor, right? And this is yeah, you cannot see the 1% is small, but then we should consider the number of the people. This is very tricky when you are trying to estimating the poverty level. People come, many institution comes only on the rate, the percentage, but we need to be careful because the real faces that of the poor people really counted in the 24.5 million, and including the children. And how about the poverty in Indonesia after the COVID-19 hit? Actually, Indonesia COVID-19 daily case is continually increasing in early 2021, and government already implement some social protection, social assistance programs to mitigate the risk of this COVID-19. And yeah, because of these government social assistance programs, poverty in Indonesia has slightly declined from 10.19% in September 2020 to only 10.14% in March 2021. Yeah. Yeah, I mean the social assistance that has been launched by the government does help somehow to reach the poor people and also the people who are affected by the pandemic COVID. Usually, as you know, we know that the poverty increased due to the COVID-19, and then how is actually the household coping with this economic crisis? So people usually selling or pawning assets and also reducing non-food expenditure. So we can see that the economic downturn is happening somehow, and they also trying to borrow money from relative or colleagues and reducing food expenditure, and this is could be red light for the families with children, because the nutritious food that can be consumed by children could be easily affected, and then household or the mother of the children will buy like less food and less nutritious food. So many basically household trying to cope with this economic crisis, and government already has launched some social assistance programs, but still there is a big homework that should be done by all the stakeholders here, including students, academicians, on how we can really mitigate this negative impact to the households. And the social assistance that was rolled out by the government contributes to household total expenditure, meaning that it somehow can reduce poverty. And then the four major of cash social assistance program, if they are combined, this will be contributed to 20% of the poorest rural household total expenditure, and 18% of the poorest urban household total expenditures. As we know that the poverty level is higher in rural area than in urban area. So, but this is the poverty dynamism data is really happening over time. So this figure can be changed, in the next months and in the next 2 months. So that's why it's very important to really be able for all stakeholders to estimate the poverty like this. Is not only can be done by the UN agency, for instance, or UNICEF or other institutions, but it also be important if like the academicians like the University of Parahyangan can start to do its own calculations over the poverty. So for instance in West Java, so that the more stakeholders at the local level can really following up the update and the dynamics of the data on the poverty. And how actually the impact of COVID-19 on child poverty and mobility in Indonesia. Actually, UNICEF with the fiscal agency of the Ministry of Finance, last year we conducted the estimation of this impact, and and the study reveals that child poverty increases to become 13.5% without government emergency support. As we know that this child poverty rate is higher than the normal poverty, because children cannot earn income. So that's why the child poverty is higher than the poverty, the whole poverty level. The whole poverty level already includes the labor force and also the employed labor force, unemployed labor force. So it measures actually their income and also the elderly. But once you measure the child poverty everywhere around the world, the child poverty is higher, because of course no children can work, no children can earn money. So it's really their income really depends on their caregiver or their families, and even from the governments. So this basically the message of this slide, but I'm not going to get into the detail of these discussions. And yeah, and also this is also the slide also again stressing that the economic fallout is mainly affecting children's because children doesn't earn income, and then so many fragile factors embedded within themselves. Yeah, because they are still like needs nutritious food, constant mandatory vaccinations, and so on and so on. So it's easily can be predicted that the children have disproportionately affected due to the economic downturn. And also COVID-19 impact on child poverty actually has is mainly affecting children. Although the government emergency response regarding social protection has the potential to fully mitigate the pandemic, it is but the social assistance itself is not really reaching out all the children. Our social assistance program that been launched by the Ministry of Social Affairs mainly targeting about 10 million household, which is only about if you times 2 children is only like 20 million children, and the amount is very small, is like 200 300 thousands rupiah, which is much below the minimum income that should be received by the household if they have children. So yeah, there is already a program, but it's still not enough, to mitigate the negative impact of the COVID-19. So yeah, but we are like I think we still do the advocacy to the governments together with all stakeholders, how to maintain the increasing coverage of the cash transfer to mitigate the negative impact of COVID-19. How the family help programs, the food staple program or Kartu Sembako can be expanded more in the next year, despite of the fact that the COVID-19 cases has been decreasing recently, and the new cases is only like 100 or 200 cases per day. But the economic recovery and also the family who are affected is not really recovered enough. Yeah, if you see the dynamic of the situations at the household level. So the academician, the civil society like us can keep informed. The government can not keep informed the high level governments, but also to keep informed the village governments, the Pak RT, Pak RW, if they want to distribute, like for instance, the social assistance programs, you need to be part of that effort. Like you need to monitor whether the program is really targeting the right beneficiaries, or whether the programs is really like reaching the poor people, and which is the benefit level is really described as by the government, like 300,000 rupiah per month, and you can monitor if your neighbor receiving this amount, whether they receiving this amount, 300,000. I think by being active in your community level, in your RT or airway regarding this social assistance program, it can be a small step, can be that you can pursue on how you can take a active role, as described by the previous speaker, in mitigating the COVID-19 impact and also to reducing poverty. Yeah, if you go to the more the technical analysis on this child poverty. Child poverty in Indonesia is regarding one times of poverty line slightly fluctuated from 2017 to 2021. Yeah, if you, like I said, I mean, so many methods actually to calculate the child poverty and also the poverty. But the main message is if you are a non-governmental organization, then you can just pick one method that you would like to use, and then you can use these poverty measurements to monitor the poverty level, and also to tell the community, to tell the colleagues, to tell the governments that, hey, this is the poverty still high, and yeah, you need to do something about it. We all the stakeholders should do something about it. So if you see the poverty, the child poverty by province in Indonesia, there are still 2 provinces or 3 provinces with a very high poverty rate, which are Papua, West Papua, and also the East Nusa Tenggara or NTT. And sometimes if you are working in the development world, like for like more than 10 years, and then you will realize that every single programs created by development partners, yeah, will go to NTT or Papua, but still the problem of poverty is still there. So yeah, this is something that perhaps we need to figure it out.
Excuse me, Mrs. Ratnawati, the time is over.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so basically, yeah, poverty is complex. It's not easy to solve it. You need to think out of the box to solve poverty. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for Mrs. Ratnawati Muyanto for your informative and interesting presentation about poverty, especially in child poverty. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, now we are coming to talk show or discussion session with our speakers today. Before going to the question and answer session, we have a few questions. Ibu Ratnawati dan Ibu Valencia, we have a few questions that we can discuss with our speakers today. The question will be the same for all the speakers today, and the speakers will take turns in the answer to the question. So the first question, I will Ibu Ratnawati turn the first. The question is, why are you interested in the no poverty field? Why are you interested in the no poverty field? How important is no poverty according to the speakers? Is there any urgency according to the speakers regarding no poverty? Okay, Ibu Ratnawati first, or Ibu Valencia? Okay, I will take Ibu Valencia first because the background is different about poverty. Okay, okay. Sorry, the crew can help Ibu Valencia for unmute. Okay.
Okay, thank you, baby. So why I do interested in no poverty field? Why this is important? Because when we see, when we feel, when we work in our daily life, we're gonna face and then we're gonna meet the poor. We're gonna find poverty is really close to us. Even in this big city, I already said there are poverties. They are poor peoples and they need help actually. And then if you, let's say you don't want to talk about helping them, you don't care about the poverty. When you just live just the way you are in this daily life basis, you're gonna meet them. You're gonna find that if you are the seller and then your customer, some of them, it might be one of the poor. This is really important because if we do care about them, we can do something for them. It also can change something to have impact. It has its own impacted relationship between us and them. And if we do something that change quite significant, also it's going to give us something to in return. You know, when we have more rich people here, actually I do believe in the theory trickle down effect. When there are some rich people, and then it's going to pour down, and then it's going to help many more people to get out from the poverty. And I think in Indonesia it actually happened. The task is how the government is going to make something real, something bigger, to help and enhance how to contribute ourselves to the poor people. That's all.
Thank you for Mrs. Valencia. The different point of view from a news anchor and about her experience about the no poverty, right? Next, another talk from Ibu Ratnawati.
Okay, thank you for the questions. Actually, yeah, now I'm starting questioning myself. I think back like 20 years ago, I studied economics. If you studied economics, and then you will think about profit all the time, right? But then you need also to think of how you can create market. Actually, who is market? What is market? Market are people, right? I mean, if the people cannot have sufficient income, and of course they cannot be your customer, cannot be your buyer. So I think this is I experienced it myself. Okay, and it's also very important to see I think it's a very personal experience. Like if you see your achievement measured by the how many goods that you are selling or what, it's just, you know, it's just numbers. But if you can see that you can do like advocating, for instance, the policy reform, and then you believe that this is will affecting more people, yeah, and this is something that bring more meaningful for many people, I think. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you for Ibu Ratnawati. And the next question is, according to the speaker, how is the current state of the economy in Indonesia and countries in Southeast Asia? I will repeat. According to the speakers, how is the current state of the economy in Indonesia and countries in Southeast Asia? Okay. Okay, maybe Ibu Ratnawati can first to share your stories, share your
very broad comment, because I didn't do like a rigorous study on this, and I think other scholars from other institutions already done some studies, and I just trying to grab some information that the macroeconomic indicators are getting improved, getting better, since the vaccination has been rolling out by the governments. And now the strict mobility has been reduced, and you can see that the malls everywhere, the shopping malls are getting crowded. Yes, we can see that the economy is slightly moving, but still, if you go to Bali, for instance, or to other tourist destinations area, the occupation rate is not really fully achieved, just like before the COVID-19. So the unemployment rate is still high, and then also the children is really conducting like a hybrid schooling from home, which is put more burden for the women. because as a Indonesian women, usually you taking the domestic chores, you taking to teach your children, and so on and so on. And also many women also need to do the real work to earn income. So still the social phenomenon like this is still there within the family. Yeah, thanks.
Okay. How about Ibu Valencia?
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, the poverty, the inequality is real in Indonesia and in the country in Southeast Asia. Maybe if we compare ourselves to Singapore or Malaysia, I don't know, it's quite a bit different. But if we see some countries that also struggling too much about the political instability, about human rights issue in their country, just like Myanmar, and then what else in Timor-Leste, we can compare. You can read it by yourself. But the thing is, when we do the measurement about how many poor people in this country based on what can we say, the Central Bureau of Statistics, it has its own measurement in counting how many poor in this country. By March 2021, there are 10% of the population, which around 27.5 million. It's categorized as a poor people. But if once I talk to the head of Central of Bureau of Statistics in Kalimantan, no Kalimantan, in West Sumatra, he told me that if we want to do the measurement, when we use the other kind of method, not about how much money that people spend in a day, they can ask to their neighborhood, what do you think about Miss Valencia? Do you think she is poor, or do you think she is rich? And then their neighborhood will going to give a comment. Yes, I think she is poor because she just eat once a day, just like that, a comment like that. And then it's going to affect the measurement of the poverty in some or certain area, or maybe family based. So we cannot compare about this district or area with the others area. It depends on so many indicators. The thing is, we just see it as a poverty through many kind of measurement. It's okay.
Okay, thank you for Ibu Valencia. So the next question is, how to create a no poverty situation? How to create a no poverty situation according to the speaker, like step by step to achieve the goal of no poverty, which will be achieved in SDGs in 2030. Okay, how to create a no poverty situation according the speakers.
Okay.
How?
Okay. May I start?
It's okay, Bu Ratnawati.
Okay, may I respond? Okay.
Yes, you go first.
Ratna will have
interesting and like
the best answer. I think so.
No, I just inspired by Valencia response before. Actually, it depends on the measure, the type of the measurement itself. Whether this is monetary measurements, it's easy, If you're talking about the monetary poverty, and the government should provide cash transfers to people. And this is the easiest persons. And of course, the government will tell you that we do have a limited fiscal space. Yeah, well, but this is something that this is like recommended by several academicians around the world. Give people money is easy, but once it becomes the policy, never been easy to implement the cash transfer or social protection programs. And mainly, and this will be like a high cost programs around the world, and then how to build a very rigorous database, how to build the most sophisticated targeting mechanisms for reduction for social assistance programs. But basically, I just would like to answer if the monetary poverty is a problem, and then the solution is giving people cash. I think I mean, Mbak Valencia can respond more on the multidimensional poverty, I think.
Okay. We going to Ibu Valencia to the response.
I believe that this is quite impossible to reach 2030 no poverty. I mean, how come it's just like now it's 2021. We are only have 9 years ago, 9 years to go to reach no poverty. I mean, this is a very complex issue, and when we see to our country in Jokowi presidency, you're going to find so many programs that already implemented to the society, especially for the extreme poor. Start from program Keluarga Harapan, and then in Kartu Indonesia Pintar, and then what else? JKM, and then Jaminan Kesehatan Masyarakat. There are so many programs, you name it. You are going to read this kind of programs in the news. You're going to see it if you watch TV. The thing is, the government is already handling this kind of extreme poverty through several aspects, so many aspects. Start from education, and then give bantuan langsung tunai. Government give the money to the society, to the poor people. They are going to spend the money to survive in this COVID-19 pandemic. And then what's more complex is corruption. It's still happening here. You see, there are so many public pejabat, public figure, public servant with some jabatan, and then they do corruption. It's very corrupt country. We don't talk about Indonesia only. There are so many third world country. There are corruptions there. So what do you expect for the no poverty in 2030? Do not think just too much. We just see around us, and there are so many error, and then it quite happen again and again. And then the other thing is, as the media, as a journalist, as a citizen journalist, your task is to watch this phenomenon, and then you are going to watch how this program happen, implement every day in society. Do your grandmother get bantuan langsung tunai for shopping in the e-warung, for one of the example of the COVID-19 program? And then you can watch how the KCP PEM, they use the money, they implement the program, how the UMKM works in our daily life. You see in the Instagram who is selling the bag, the food, the local food. You are the watchdog. We all can do that together.
Okay, thank you. So interesting about the this theme, this object, this subject. Yeah. Now next question is, okay, how does the speaker respond, according to the speakers, how does the speaker respond to the fact that many people still live in poverty? We will 9 years to go, going to agent of 2030. So how does the speaker respond, according to the speakers, to fact that many people still live in poverty? Okay. First, maybe Ibu Valencia.
Yes, we already know that there are so many people still live in poverty, and then we set target for no poverty in 2030. Actually, it's a good thing to have the optimistic the freedom to have a dream in the short term, even in the long term. But in SDGs, the first goal is no poverty from 17 goals. In fact, we already know that 50%, half of a living people in poverty are under 80, under 18, 50%. 1% in every 10 is extremely poor. I quote this from United Nations. And then 736 million people still live in extreme poverty. 10% of the world's population live in extreme poverty, down from 36% in 1990. And then the last but not least, 80% of people living on less than $1.9 are in South Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa. This is the fact, and then we already know that the poverty is real. It exists between us. As I said, if we see through our lens, through our perspective, I don't think I can live with $2 a day. It's same. It's equal with 20.000 rupiah, 24.000 rupiah. It only can buy you nasi padang sebungkus. What about our breakfast? What about our dinner? We cannot stay and live with 24.000. But for them, for people who are in the poverty condition, very poor condition, how could they expect more? They cannot access education. They cannot access healthcare. There are no sanitary, no proper school. So what we can do is just help them. And this is not an act of charity. This is an act of justice, like Nelson Mandela said. So don't think just give them money and then it's going to solve the problem. It's not like that. When you give them money, it's only buy them satu bungkus nasi padang again for their dinner. What do you expect? And this is quite complex because it's not in the lowest level, but also in governmental level. Government need to make a policy, and then so many people need help to get out from the poverty line. And don't think it's like the measurement of the poverty line. There are so many people behind it, but there are also the almost poor people near this line. They are at risk to be join the poor. So this is a very complex one, and just do gotong royong to help one another, to inspire one another, so they can get out from the poverty.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Maybe last from Ibu Ratnawati, just a simple opinion about that question.
About the
question.
Sorry, I forget the question. The main.
Oh, okay. How does the speaker respond of the fact that many people still live in poverty?
Yeah. Yeah, I will going back to the original the initial discussion that I already brought up earlier. It's all related with the cash, right? With the giving people money. If you want to solve the problem, the basic problem, the monetary poverty, the government can give the poorest people money. Doesn't tadi Mbak Valencia already mentions about how inefficient our public management in public financial management for the social protections, and this could be reformed. This should be the main reform by all the the high rank officers. And then of course it's not even if you stay or live in the developed countries, high income level countries, in Germany or in the US, you can still find poverty. Poor people still there. Poor people are still there. Yeah, so it's not easy to solve the poverty by the most disadvantaged people. So yeah, it's very complicated, and it should be done by the social workers at the community level, at the district level, at the provincial level, and then we need the government's commitment for social protection programs. And by implementing the prudent public financial management, I believe that we have sufficient fund for feeding poor people, at least. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, interesting discussion with Ibu Ratnawati dan Ibu Valencia today, but we need to next decision. I cannot see the question from our participant. MC, can you help me for they have questions in the chat box? Sorry, for MC today?
Yeah, there still isn't any question right now.
Okay.
But we are waiting for the participants. If anyone wants to ask, if anyone have questions, you can send it to the comment section.
Okay.
Yes.
There is one, but I think this is for Mr. Sandiaga Uno. Okay. Can I just read it? Maybe Mrs. Ratnawati or Mrs. Valencia could answer this question.
Okay, just please read it.
Okay. To reopen our tourism sites in order to boost economic growth, there's a risk of COVID transmission. In your opinion, which one is more important, people's health or economic growth? That is from Mrs. Nita from Unpar.
Okay, maybe just from opinion from Ibu Ratnawati dan Ibu Valencia about that question.
I think it shouldn't be a trade-off between two phenomena. Once you have a good public health measurements to curb the virus, and then you will have a good economic growth, and also the vice versa. I think once you have a good economic growth, you can afford to buy vaccines. Our government can afford by sufficient number of vaccine, I think, and it shouldn't be like a trade-off or compromise to each other. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Ratnawati. How about Ibu Valencia?
Actually, when we observe and trying to understand how our president handle this kind of pandemic, Jokowi never state that Indonesia is going to lock down. Indonesia never do lockdown. And the other side is Jokowi also try to handle this pandemic through his own way, through how to keep it stable between the healthcare care and then also the economic stability. When we see this nowadays phenomena, people can go to Jakarta, back to Sumatra, back to Kalimantan. It gives us the insight that the economic thing is keep going on while we try to keep on track that COVID-19 is under control. However, we need to see, until how the Delta virus, the Omicron, and then much more, I don't know, maybe the new invention in vaccination and also the medicine, we need to wait about it. And then we are going to see how Jokowi handle it together between the health and also the economic. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you. That the point of view from the Ibu Ratnawati dan Ibu Valencia about that question. So, any question there? Okay. I have one question from Nadia Halim. I want to ask a question. Of course, the poor people need money and food, but I see experiment that one of the poor people given a lot amount of money that can last 3 months, but they finish it 1 week. So what should we or the government do for the poor people by giving them money? Okay. I guess this is Ibu Ratnawati first.
Yeah, it's very
Well
relevant questions. Yeah, and very interesting question actually. Actually, you know, there has been like there are several studies on this actually. Yeah, if you want to go to detail, like how people are going to use the fund that they receive from the governments. And the main questions is, of course, this is up to their decisions, right? Because this is their rights. This is their rights in the social and economic rights. And if they spend it like only in 1 week, for instance, because they need to pay for the loan they take, and they just want to avoid the loan shark, I think it's still worth it and still beneficial for the beneficiaries. And also in UNICEF we do a lot of like promotions, and also promotions on nutritious food, on health measurements, while we are promoting the cash transfers. So it's also important, I think, for the governments to promoting the nutritious food, the health measurements simultaneously when you are giving the social assistance programs. Like if you give spend amount of money, and then that's why the cash transfer is given like not in one point of time, but it should be better to give it like based on the periodic time, like a monthly base. So it's to keep the flow of your income stable over time. So people who receive like first month they receive 300,000, they will only spend for 300,000 and not spend like 900,000 rupiah for only a short-term needs. That's why it's also important that to give the cash transfer in the periodically manner, and secondly also to embed the promotions of the nutritious food and health promotions during the cash disbursements of the any social assistance programs. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Maybe Ibu Valencia to additional talk about that question.
Maybe I can give some example. I hope this quite easy to understand. If we receive 5 million and then the poor family receive 5 million rupiah, it's going to spend it a different way. They don't have a rice cooker in their home, and then they don't have the air conditioner in their home, they don't have a washing machine in their home, and then they need to buy it. Meanwhile, if we receive 5 million rupiah, you don't have to buy rice cooker, your mom already has it, and then you don't have to buy your washing machine, you already have two in your home, and then the other you don't have to buy what else, a dispenser, because you already have it, you already have the refrigerator in your home. It's a different spending between the poor family and then the settled one. So when people receive the BLT or the cash transfer, they're gonna spend the money for their needs, their primary needs, not the secondary needs. And if we put ourselves in the position who receive the BLT, the cash transfer, you are going to think about the secondary needs or maybe your luxury needs. So it's going to has a different approaches. And then when when the local government, when Jokowi have a program, his team designed about how to give it periodically. And then they give an assistance, social assistance. They give education. For example, Kartu Prakerja. In Kartu Prakerja, people who don't have a job, they receive money for monthly, 3 months, I think, like 1 million rupiah, and then they receive it 3 times. And also they give a social assistant. They are receiving the education, how to work as a, let's say, a chef, let's say mechanics. They got the education and they receive the money to survive. So the conclusion is the cash transfer, it can be done 5 million rupiah for just a week, but in terms they use it for their primary needs. And also when they receive a program like Kartu Prakerja, they also receive the education and then the training. So it's okay.
Okay, thank you for the answering from Ibu Ratnawati dan Ibu Valencia. So, ladies and gentlemen, we finally come to the end of this webinar. Before I close the webinar, I would like to take the conclusion from what the speaker has presented. The first one from Mr. Sandiaga Uno, the role of millennial generation is innovation, take a risk, and also proactive. And then from Ibu Valencia Melvinci is let's take part in community empower, be significant, and make it real. And then from Ibu Ratnawati, need all advocacy from all stakeholders for help the case, especially in child poverty. So the conclusion is we need to just help to all the poverty child to end of the case, no poverty. Okay, before I'll go back to the MC, we would like to give some appreciation for our speakers today. This certificate symbolic presented to our speakers today. The first certificate to Mr. Sandiaga Uno, although Mr. Sandiaga Uno has left first for another activity, but the certificate symbolic presented for Mr. Sandiaga Uno. And Mr. Sandiaga Uno had take a poem that I must to share to all participants. Indonesia tourism destinations are very exotic. The beauty is true. No words can explain. Pak Rektor, let's spread optimism during pandemic. If we move together, economy will rise again. And the next, Betawi foods are now very tasty. The taste of soto Betawi is very magnetic. Let's maximize every opportunity so we can be the winner during the pandemic. That's the message with poem from Bapak Sandiaga Uno. Next, the certificate symbolic, we will to present it to Ibu Valencia Melvinci. Thank you for all the stories, for the experience, for the informative stories to our participant today, Ibu. So team, crew can help to.
Okay, sorry to cut in. I'm Ranaldi from the team documentation to capture this activity. Let's take a picture with the speakers and moderator for the certificate handover. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Okay. One more. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Next.
Okay, thank you,
Thank
Ibu
you.
Valencia. Thank you for the team. And next, the certificate presented to Ibu Ratnawati Muyanto. Thank you, Ibu, for the all material, for the informative stories and share your experience. Okay, for the team documentation.
Okay, for the last certificate, in 3, 2, 1. Okay. Once again, 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the all speaker. Before I will to back to MC, I like to say thank you for our speaker today for the informative and interesting presentation and about all the stories and also all the experience. And also to the all participants for the very active participant today. We have some questions in the chat box. Finally, give the applause for the speaker and for all of you. Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And I will be give back to our MC today.
Thank you so much for our moderator and our speakers today. We are grateful to have you here today. We hope that through this webinar, our participants could get some more insightful information and new perspective about this issue, right, Nanda?
That is 100% correct. But sadly, Philia, it is time to say goodbye. But before that, we would like to invite all of our amazing participants, our moderator and speakers, to turn on your camera and give your best smile because we are going to take a picture together. So we will have something to remember about this insightful webinar. To the documentation team, you guys can take the lead.
Hello everyone, I'm Raul from team documentation. Now it's photo session. So everyone be prepared because I'm going to start from slide 1. Okay, for slide 1, 3, 2, 1. Thank you. And next slide. 3, 2, 1. Okay, next slide. 3, 2, 1. Okay, next slide. 3, 2, 1. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for the pictures documentation team. Now that we have come to the end of this webinar, I would like to remind all of the participants to fill out our evaluation form in the chat box as a confirmation of your participation and for certificate purposes. With that, this webinar has come to an end, but don't be sad. There are still a lot of contents of performances and webinars waiting for you today. You can check them out on our website, www.menefesto.online. May I repeat? You can tune in on our website, www.menefesto.online for more interesting performances and insightful webinars.
That is right. So you can check out our website at www.menefesto.online. And we would also like to remind you that Manifesto 2021, Agents of 2030, will be held until December 22nd of 2021. You can check out our Instagram too at Manifesto. That's in MENEFESTO. Last but not least, we thank all of the participants who attends today's event. It has been a great honor for me, Nanda Naomi, and my partner,
Celia Maria,
for having the opportunity to be a part of Manifesto 2021 webinar, Embrace Humanity, Eliminate Poverty.
thank you so much for coming today. We hope to see you in the next event. Keep moving.
Keep acting.
Keep inspiring. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.